So here are some of the project maths, financial maths questions. First we see here someone money is invested in an 8-year government bond with an annual equivalent rate of 6%. Annual equivalent rate, that's like compound interest of 6% for that. So it's an 8-year government bond. So what will it be worth when it gets to those 8 years? Well, you go to your formula tables and you'll find that the final amount is equal to the principal sum times 1 plus I to the power of t. Okay, so to do this final amount, we have to work out, we've put in the principal sum. Principal sum is the 5,000 that was invested. 1 plus I. Now the interest rate here is 6%. So 6% is 6 out of 100, which is 0.06. 0.06, and then that's to the power of 8, because it's 8 years. So the final amount here will be equal to, so we've got 5,000, and we can put it exactly as we see it in there, 1 plus 0.06, and that's to the power of y to the power of x, then to the power of 8, and we get an answer of 7969.24. 7969.24, and that's in euro. Value of the investment, so we leave it at that, and that's round 2 decimal places, 2 cent. A different investment bond gives 20% after 8 years. Calculate the annual equivalent rate for this bond. So, what we're told then is that the final amount will be equal to 120%. So if I put in 100 euro, the final amount, it'll go to 120 euro. And we're asked to find the annual equivalent rate for this bond. So what I'll do there is I'll use the same formula. F is equal to P times 1 plus I to the power of T. So the final amount, we'll say if we just pick 100 as our guess, is equal to 120 is equal to 100 times 1 plus I to the power of T. Divide both sides by 100 and we get 1.2 is equal to 1.I to the power of t. This is the tricky bit. We have to get rid of this to the power of t. And the way we do that is we get the cubed root, and that's t is 8 in this case. We get the 8th root of both sides. 8th root. So let's see if we take out our calculator and see if we can do that. So this here, above the y to the power of x, is our 8th root button. So if I go second function, this, arrow across, put in 8 there. Let's backspace that. So we've got the 8th root of 1.2. So really, you have to know that to get rid of that to the power of 8, it's the 8th root you have to use. And when you put that in, you get 1.023. Is equal to the 1 plus I, or I is equal to 0.023. I'll multiply 100 and we get 2.3% is equal to the annual equivalent rate. So, next problem here. Oh, actually I might just mention one other thing. I could also have got 1.2 to the power of 1/8. That's the same as the 8th root of 1.2. And I could have done that on the calculator because some calculators have slightly different functions. I could have gone, and I'll get the exact same number if I go y to the power of, if I go 1.2 to the power of 1/8. 1 over 8. And just to note that we get the exact same answer, 1.23. So that's the same, they're the same. So we get the annual equivalent rate of 2.3. A certain deposit will earn 3% in the first year, 6% in the second year, and the interest added to the account at the end of each year. If a person invests this into this account, how much will they have at the end of the 2 years? So what we notice about this one is that the interest changes. So we have to be very, very careful here, because if the interest values are changing, we're going to have to do this in 2 steps. So year 1, it's going to be 3%, so it's 20,000 multiplied by 3 over 100, and that'll tell us how much interest we'll make. That's 3% of the value, so it's 20,000 times 3 divided by 100. That's 600 euro in interest. So the value will be €20,600 after year 1. And then for year 2, this will be our principal sum. We know we'll have 20,600, and we're going to get 6% interest, 6 over 100, which will tell us how much interest is earned on that. It's plus 20,000 equal to, and then multiply by 6 and divide by 100. That'll give us 1,236. 1,236. So we can add that 2 plus the 2,600, and we get the total value of €21,836. Alternative method for this is I could have used final amount is equal to the principal sum times 1 plus I to the power of t, and to do that I could have put in the principal sum, t would be equal to 1, I would be equal to 0.3, so I'll just put that 20,000 times 1 plus 0.03 to the power of 1, and that'll just give me the answer of 20600. And then I could have done it again for the next part. The final amount is equal to the principal sum, which would be 20600 times 1 plus 0.06, because 6% is 0.06 to the power of 1, and that would give me the 21836. So there's a couple of ways of doing it there. Whichever way you find more interest or easier is the way I'd go with. And then the last bit here is to show that to the nearest euro the same amount of interest earned by investing the money for 2 years in an account of compound interest of 4.49. So principal sum is 20,000. Interest rate is equal to 4.49, which would be 0.0449, and we know t is equal to 2, and if we substitute straight into our formula, is equal to the principal sum, let's delete that for a second, is equal to p times 1 plus I to the power of t. Principal sum is 20,000 times 1 plus I, 1 plus 0.0449 to the power of 2, and we do indeed get the same answer, which is 21836. Next question. Next question is universal social charge, and we're asked, we're told that we're given, he pays income tax, this person pays income tax, universal social charge, and PRSI. His gross weekly wages are 510. So he pays a standard rate of 20%, and his weekly tax credits of 63. How much income tax does he pay? Well, if we know the amount, the tax, the gross tax is 20% of the 510. So that's 510 multiplied by 20 divided by 100, which is equal to 510 times 20 divided by 100, and that's equal to 102. But wait a minute, there are tax credits of 63, so we can subtract them from it. Minus 63, tax credits are great, they reduce the amount of tax you have to pay, so 3 from that leaves 9, carry the 1, and €39 is the amount of gross tax he pays. Net tax he pays, that's the income tax he pays, €39. Alan pays universal social rate of 2% of the first 1934, and then the next 115 at 7% on the balance. Calculate the universal social charge Adam pays. Well, we take the 510 and we split it into the 3 bundles. So first off, the first 193, then you've got the next 115, and then you've got the bit that's over that. So he pays 2% of 193. He's going to pay 4% of 115, and then on the balance, which would be 510 minus the 193 minus the 115, he'll pay 7%. So 510 minus 193 minus 115 gives us the balance of 202. That's the only one you really have to work out. 202, and then it's 7% of that. So the universal social charge, we have to work each of these out. So 2% of 193 is 193 multiplied by 2 divided by 100, plus 105 multiplied by 4 divided by 100. It's 4% of that, plus 202 multiplied by 7 divided by 100, and we'll get a total amount of, it's going to take a couple of seconds, 193 times 2 divided by 100 plus 15 times 4 divided by 100 plus 202 multiplied by percentage, which is 7, divided by 100, and we get a total amount of 22 and 6. €22.60. So his total weekly deductions amount to this. How much PRSI does he pay? Well, we know income tax plus universal social charge plus PRSI must equal to 76.92. Let's see what we know. Well, we know this one is 22. We've worked out the previous one as well is 39. That's 39 there. That's his income tax. So we just have to work out the other. So we've got 39 plus 22.6 plus the PRSI is equal to 76.92, and then just subtract those two values from 76.92, and that will give us our total value, which in this case is 76.92 minus 22.6 minus 39, and that's equal to 1532, and that's it.